You are standing inside a grocery store. The lights are humming above you. The shelves are perfectly stocked. A stranger holds the door open for you without thinking. You grab what you need, pay, and leave. You do not think about any of this. It feels normal. It feels inevitable, but none of it was supposed to happen. Nothing about civilization was inevitable. Not the cities, not the laws, not the language you are thinking in right now. What you call modern life is not the destination human evolution was aiming for. It is an accident, a wild, improbable chain of events that should not have worked and almost did not. Here's what the science actually says. For 95% of human existence, your ancestors lived in small nomadic groups of 20 to 50 people. They followed animals. They moved with the seasons. They did not plant. They did not build. They did not accumulate. And here's the thing. Most history books skip right past. They were not miserable. Anthropologist Marshall Solon studied modern hunter-gatherer societies in the 1960s and called them the original affluent society. They worked fewer hours than you do. They slept more. They had more leisure time than almost any human alive today. The life your ancestors lived for hundreds of thousands of years was not a desperate struggle toward civilization. It was a different kind of life entirely. So why did everything change? The answer starts with a patch of grass in the Fertile Crescent about 12,000 years ago, specifically with a wild plant called einkorn wheat. Humans had been eating wild grains for thousands of years already, but somewhere, no one knows exactly where or why, someone began deliberately scattering seeds and waiting. Agriculture was not invented. It was discovered by accident, probably multiple times in multiple places, by people who had no idea what they were starting. And here is where it gets strange. The shift from hunting and gathering to farming was not immediately better. Skeletal remains tell a brutal story. Early farmers were shorter than their hunter-gatherer ancestors. Their bones show signs of nutritional deficiency. They had more cavities, more infections, more signs of hard physical labor. Anthropologist and scientist Jared Diamond famously called agriculture the worst mistake in the history of the human race. That phrase is controversial, but the bones do not lie. The first farmers were not thriving. They were grinding. So why did farming spread? Why did it not die out when it clearly made early life harder? The answer is numbers. A farming community can support far more people per square kilometer than a hunter-gatherer band. More food per acre means more children survive. More children means more farmers. More farmers means more land cleared. The math was merciless. Farmers did not outthink hunter-gatherers. They out-reproduced them. And once population density crossed a certain threshold, there was no going back. You cannot return 10,000 people to a nomadic lifestyle. The accident had already taken root. But civilization is not just farming. Farming is just the first domino. When you store surplus grain, you need somewhere to put it. Storage requires structures. Structures require labor. Labor requires coordination. Coordination requires hierarchy. Hierarchy requires rules. Rules require enforcement. Enforcement requires power. Power requires legitimacy. Legitimacy requires shared beliefs. Shared beliefs require religion, law, narrative, and identity. An entire civilization cascades out of one thing, a surplus of grain. Archaeologist V. Gordon Childe called this the urban revolution, the moment surplus food allowed specialists to exist. Not everyone had to farm. Some people could think, build, trade, govern. The city was born. But here's the accident inside the accident. That first surplus was not guaranteed. It required the right climate, at the right moment, in the right geography. Historian and geographer Jared Diamond spent years mapping why some civilizations exploded, while others did not. His conclusion, laid out across hundreds of pages, came down to a jaw-dropping simplicity: orientation. The Eurasian landmass runs east to west. The Americas and Africa run largely north to south. Crops spread along similar latitudes because the growing conditions, temperature, rainfall, day length, stay roughly consistent. A wheat crop domesticated in the Middle East could spread across Europe with minimal adaptation, but a crop domesticated in Mexico could not easily move to Peru. The mountains and climate zones blocked it. Different continents were playing the same game with wildly different starting hands. Guns, germs, and steel, the technologies that allowed certain civilizations to dominate others, were downstream of geography. Not intelligence, not willpower, not destiny, geography.